So what we are going to learn is that what we see on the outside, the behaviors that we see, are the fruit of something that is much deeper, which comes from our soul, which is the root of everything. Because dealing with behaviors on the behavioral level is not really going to fix them. We want to understand the behaviors on a soul level. And when we understand them on the soul level, we will understand the root cause of them. We're able to help navigate them, and help our kids overcome and help ourselves overcome. So in order to understand this in a more clearer way, I want to talk about the idea of light and vessel. So according to Jewish wisdom, a human being is not just a body that has a soul. A human being is the meeting point between the soul and the body. The soul is the life force. It's infinite, radiant, and eternal. And the body is the vessel through which the soul can manifest into the world. The soul cannot act in the physical world without the body, and the body cannot live without the soul. The body without the soul is nothing, is just matter. So this is the idea of a light and vessel. You can think about it as a traffic light. The light that is behind the traffic light is white, and it goes through the different the different colors, the plastic covers. And when it goes through those plastic covers, it contracts itself and it comes out as a specific color, which we see. And each specific color has a specific rule. And then it becomes something that guides the traffic. But if the light was just shining without any vessel, without anything to contract it, to shrink it in some way, it wouldn't be useful. It will just like blind anybody who is watching. So in order for the soul to manifest in this body, it has to go through that vessel, and necessarily it has to shrink. It has to contract. It has to become smaller in order to shine into this world. So our goal is we want to create that right integration between the light and the vessel. Because when we have too much light that doesn't have a vessel, when the light is too strong and the vessel is not strong enough, then what we feel in our life is overwhelm, lack of focus, and explosive anger and sensitivity. And we suffer because of it, when our light is too strong and there isn't a vessel to contain it. When the light is too little, on the other hand, the light can't shine through. In a child, this can look like, or in any person for that matter, it can look like sadness, lethargy, lack of motivation, flatness, and a loss of aliveness and zest. So what we want is the correct coming together of the light and the vessel. We want the right amount of light for the right amount of vessel. And when we have that, then we see a radiant, directed, and purposeful human being. It's a child who is alive in the right way, who is present and grounded and expressive and connected. So that is when the light of the soul is shining through in the exact amount that it needs to. And it has the exact container to contain it in exactly the right way. So this is what we're aiming for. So as parents, what we will try to do is we will try to understand that connection between the light and the vessel in our specific children. And we want to understand how we can help our children grow their vessel, grow their capacity to hold the intensity of their soul. And sometimes we gently have to help our children dim the light a little bit, because the light sometimes is just too big. It's too big and it's something that cannot be manifested. So we have to, sometimes we want to gently help our children dim their light. Although generally we don't want to do that. We want to help, we want our children to be fully alive. We want them to have all the aliveness and excitement in life. Sometimes though, we have to help them dim that a little bit, and mostly we need to help them direct their light in the right way. So the idea is that the more harmony there is between the soul and the body, the more the light is fitting its vessel, the healthier the person is, both mentally and physically. When we have too much light or we have too little light, that can also manifest itself as actual physical illness. So basically, what we're learning when we're learning the Sfirot, what we're learning is how the soul is built, the anatomy of the soul. Just as the body has organs, each with their distinct function, the soul has 10 forces, each with a specific role, and each part of a living system. You can think of it as 10 instruments in an orchestra. When each one plays at the right volume, in the right timing, there is harmony, there is music, and there is life that flows. All right, so now I want to dive a little bit deeper into the world of the emotions. The emotional forces, they are the midot. And they are actually the heart of this program, because once we are able to understand our emotional world, we are able to understand ourselves. Once we are able to understand how the emotional world of our children is built, we're able to understand them. We're able to know their personality and who they are. So as I said, the most dominant forces that we have is our emotional forces. And these forces, these midot, are more powerful than any external circumstances. And they are what will determine whether the external circumstances that we encounter are gonna have an impact on us or not. These will help us understand why, for some people, something can be traumatizing, but for another person, it's not going to affect them at all. So what I'm trying to say is that through this point of view, the external world doesn't have a big impact, and the focus is actually on the internal world and the work on ourselves. And this is actually, it's a very, very empowering framework, because what it says basically is that no matter what happens to you, you have a choice. Whether your circumstances are horrible, you always have a choice. You always have a choice on how to respond to the external circumstances. So this framework is actually the exact opposite of a victim mentality, because you can never blame anything on external circumstances. It's all internal. Everything that happens internally. So our emotional world is what creates the interpretation of reality for us, and they are imprinted in who we are. They are deeper than our thoughts. They are deeper than our memories. And the reason is because the root is in our soul. They're actually the root of our soul. Our emotional world is the root of our soul. One other thing to understand is that our emotional patterns, our emotional world, is very stable throughout our lives. the intellect, for example, can change and grow. Our perspectives change about different things, but our emotional blueprint stays more or less the same. So we don't really change the midah itself, the characteristic or the force itself, but what we do change is the way that it is expressed. So even if we are trying to impact our children, we don't fundamentally change who our children are, but we change how they express their emotions in the world. Because each midah, and in time you will get used to this word. I know that now it makes less sense, but it's truer, it's more accurate to call it midah because it's not only an emotion. That's why it's a little bit hard to use that word because it's more than an emotion. It's a tendency that we have. It's an inclination that we have as people. So we're going to use the word midot or emotions interchangeably, but remember that it's more than emotions. Now, each one of these forces, of these midot, has a natural desire to be revealed in its full force. Remember that light that wants to shine through, that infinite, strong light? It wants to shine through with all its force. It wants to be revealed with all its force, But without direction, without a filter, it creates chaos. It creates an uncontrollable reaction, and the feeling takes over the entire system. So our work is to create filters to help the emotional forces pass through the intellect so it is expressed in a more contracted, directed, and positive way. It's not about suppressing our emotions. It's not about eliminating our emotions, but it's about directing them in a right way. Another really important idea to understand is that because our soul it's like a part of the divine, right? We are there inside each one of us. There is a part of the divine. We were created in the image of God, right? God blew life inside of us, so that the soul is complete and whole, and it carries that memory that it was once part of the divine in it. That is why every soul in its deepest core craves to return to that wholeness, craves to return to that oneness. And that is actually the strongest driving force of the soul. That is the strongest driving force behind all our human experience. That craving expresses itself as a need for connection. We have a deep need to connect. And when a person feels truly connected, it can be to another person, to a purpose, to God, to anything that draws them out of themselves, then they feel whole. When a person is connected to something, it can be that I'm connected to an idea, something that is not physical. But when I feel connection to something, then I feel alive, then I feel fulfilled, then I feel whole. So the way to feel that wholeness is to get ourself out of the way, because the self is what creates the disconnection. So the more we focus inward on our own fears, on our own needs, on our pain, the more disconnected we feel. And the more we turn outwards towards connection, towards something larger than ourselves, the more the soul finds its home.